Have you ever felt just completely swamped by all the information out there? Especially in the business world, right? It feels like you're just trying to navigate this endless sea of data and trends and often conflicting advice. It's hard enough just to keep your head above water, let alone figure out how to actually win in such a crowded space. What is it that lets the most successful companies and maybe even really successful people cut through all that noise and consistently come out ahead? Welcome to BookCast FM, bringing books to life one cast at a time. Today we're doing a deep dive into a book that really promises to cut through that complexity, Playing to Win, How Strategy Really Works, by A.G. Lafley and Roger Martin. And what makes this one so interesting, I think, is that it's not just high-level theory. It's really a practical roadmap, tested in the real world, especially from Lafley's time leading Procter Gamble.
That's absolutely right. A.G. Lafley, he's a legendary figure, the former CEO of P&G, a real giant in consumer goods. And Roger Martin, equally respected, a top strategy advisor, former dean at Rotman School of Management. What's really special about this book, I find, is how it blends Lafley's practical, hands-on executive experience with Martin's rigorous strategic thinking. It creates this really powerful, usable approach.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We want to pull out the most important, sometimes maybe surprising ideas from this book. Think of it as your shortcut to understanding what real winning strategy actually looks like, and why fundamentally it comes down to making clear, connected choices to get that sustainable competitive edge. It's about playing to win, not just, playing to play. Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. The book kicks off by tackling a really common mistake, right? It argues strategy isn't about endless spreadsheets or just abstract planning documents. Lots of companies seem to confuse budgeting or planning with actual strategy. What's the key difference Lafley and Martin are trying to highlight here? Why does it matter so much?
Yeah, they draw a really sharp line in the sand. It can be a bit uncomfortable. They basically say most companies don't lack strategies, they lack coherent choices. That's a huge point. What they mean is strategy isn't just a long list of things to do, and it's definitely not just setting a budget. It's about deliberately choosing to be different. That means making clear, often quite tough decisions about what you will do, and maybe even more crucially, having the guts to say no to lots of other seemingly good ideas. The core idea, they argue, is about actually winning in your chosen space, not just participating or hanging on. It's active, competitive.
That idea of saying no, it sounds simple, but it's incredibly hard in practice, isn't it? That seems to be where so many organizations, maybe even individuals, get stuck. They try to do too much, be everything to everyone, and just spread themselves too thin. The book really hammers home that real strategy is often defined as much by what you decide not to do. And that discipline leads us straight to their core framework. They introduce these 5 essential strategic choices. It's the backbone of the whole book. And they don't exist in isolation, right? They form this, what do they call it, a choice cascade.
Exactly, a choice cascade, like a waterfall. Each choice flows logically into the next, and they have to reinforce each other. Together, they build this solid pathway towards actually achieving that winning aspiration.
Okay, let's walk through them. The first big question they say you absolutely have to answer is, what is our winning aspiration? And this needs to be more than just corporate jargon like maximize shareholder value or be the market leader. What does defining winning really look like in a practical sense?
Well, the winning aspiration, it defines the organization's core purpose. Why do you even exist? It's the North Star that guides all the other choices. It can't just be a vague platitude. It needs to be actionable, something you can actually aim for, and has to be focused on the customer. Like they say in the book, winning is not a vague aspiration. It is a clearly defined goal that drives the choices leaders must make. Think about P&G under Lafley. Their aspiration was to touch and improve more consumers' lives in more parts of the world more completely. See, that's not just about profit. It's about impact, reach, depth. It gives real direction.
Right. Very concrete. So once you've got that clear vision of what winning means for you, the next question becomes obvious. Where will we play? What are these arenas they talk about, and why is being selective so critical here? Why not just try to compete everywhere?
This where to play choice is all about setting boundaries. Where specifically are you going to compete? It means narrowing it down, specific product categories, maybe certain geographic markets, particular customer segments, even choosing specific channels. It's fundamentally about avoiding that classic mistake of trying to be all things to all people. That usually means you end up being mediocre everywhere. The book puts it bluntly. Trying to play everywhere is a fast track to playing nowhere well. Focus is just absolutely essential. You pick your battles.
Okay, choosing where to fight. That logically leads to the next big one, maybe the core of it for many people. How will we win? Once you know the arena, this is about defining your competitive advantage. How are you actually going to succeed there? What are the main ways Lafley and Martin say you can do this?
They really build on established strategic principles here, outlining two fundamental paths. First, there's cost leadership. That means aiming to be the most efficient, lowest cost producer in your chosen market while still giving customers acceptable value. Think scale, efficiency. The second path is differentiation. This is where you offer something unique that customers really value enough that they'll pay more for it. That uniqueness could be features, design, brand image, customer service, you name it. And the crucial link, they stress, is that your how to win has to perfectly match your where to play. You can't differentiate on features nobody in your chosen market cares about, right?
That makes total sense. It sounds straightforward, pick one lane. But what's the common pitfall here? Because it feels like lots of companies want to have it both ways, be cheap and be special.
That's exactly the trap, trying to be a hybrid, low-cost, and highly differentiated. It sounds great, but they argue you often end up stuck in the middle, achieving neither. They're pretty clear. You can't win by being all things to all people. You just dilute your efforts, confuse your message, and get beaten by competitors who have made a clear choice. Remember the Febreze example? P&G initially marketed it just as a functional cleaner, and it kind of floundered, but then they shifted. They chose to win by differentiating it as a home fragrance, focusing on the emotional benefit of freshness, not just cleaning. That shift in the how to win was everything.
Ah, right. That's a great example of finding the right how. Okay, so you have your aspiration, where you'll play, how you'll win. But a strategy on paper isn't enough. The next question is about execution. What capabilities must be in place? What exactly are these capabilities, and why do they need to be so tightly aligned?
Capabilities are the things your organization needs to be really, really good at to make your chosen strategy actually happen. They're the integrated skills, the processes, the assets that give you your edge. And crucially, they should be hard for competitors to copy easily. They aren't generic skills. They have to be built specifically to support your where to play and how to win. If your strategy is differentiation through cutting-edge tech, you need world-class R&D. If it's cost leadership, you need superb supply chain management. The book emphasizes this. Capabilities are the activities at which you must be world-class to win. Think about Olay's transformation again. Shifting to premium skincare meant they absolutely had to build new muscles, serious dermatological R&D, sophisticated branding, things that weren't core before.
Right. Capabilities make the strategy real. And then the final piece of the puzzle, the last question in the cascade, ensures it all sticks. What management systems are required? How do these keep everything on track?
Management systems are basically the operating infrastructure that guides everything day to day. We're talking about the processes, the organizational structure, the metrics you track, even the underlying company culture. All of these things must actively support and reinforce the strategic choices you've made. If your systems reward behavior that contradicts your strategy, the strategy will fail. For example, if your strategy depends on innovation, but your performance reviews only reward short-term cost-cutting, you have a problem. P&G's famous brand management system, their rigorous approach to tracking innovation, those are examples of systems designed to drive their specific strategic goals. As the authors say, a strategy without the right management systems is a wish, not a plan. They're the glue holding it all together.
Okay, the framework itself, aspiration, where to play, how to win, capabilities, systems, it hangs together logically. But as you said, the power is seeing it work. Let's talk about those real-world examples, starting with the big one. The P&G turnaround around the year 2000. It's almost legendary in business circles. Can you set the scene? What was P&G facing when Lafley came back as CEO? It wasn't exactly smooth sailing, was it?
Oh, definitely not. P&G in 2000 was really struggling. Growth had stalled, the stock price was way down, and internally there was a lot of confusion about priorities. They'd expanded into too many areas, lost sight of their core strengths. Lafley came in and immediately started applying this framework. First, he reset the winning aspiration to touch and improve more lives. We talked about that. That refocused everyone. Then, for where to play, he made some tough calls. He dramatically narrowed the focus back to core categories, health, hygiene, beauty, and got rid of businesses that weren't central, like food. He also made a big bet on emerging markets, like China and India, as key growth areas.
That must have involved some painful divestitures, shedding parts of the business. What about the how to win and the capabilities they needed then?
Absolutely. For how to win, the focus shifted squarely to deep consumer understanding, building strong brands, and driving meaningful innovation. Not just incremental tweaks, they aimed for more premium positions within those core categories. This meant strengthening their core capabilities, bulking up R&D, design thinking, and brand marketing to deliver that superior value. And, critically, the management systems were overhauled to support this. Brand managers got more autonomy, innovation processes were streamlined, and metrics were aligned to reward growth in those key areas. The results? Pretty stunning. During his first time as CEO, sales doubled, profits quadrupled, market cap more than doubled. It really proved their point. We won not by doing more, but by doing less better. Focus was absolutely key.
Just incredible results. Let's zoom in even more on one specific case study they detail, the reinvention of Olay. It's in Chapter 8, and it's a fantastic story. How did this brand, which was seen as kind of, dated and low-end, become this global premium skincare powerhouse, a multi-billion-dollar brand?
Olay is such a great illustration because it was a brand many had written off. It was seen as, your grandmother's cheap moisturizer. But P&G saw potential and applied the 5 choices rigorously. The winning aspiration underwent a radical shift from just being a low-cost moisturizer to becoming a leading global skincare brand delivering superior anti-aging benefits. That's a huge change in ambition. For where to play, they made a bold move into the premium skincare segment, targeting more affluent women over 30.
Yeah.
But here's the clever part. They put these premium products into mass retail channels, drugstores, supermarkets, making prestige accessible.
Right, so targeting that premium customer, but reaching her where she already shopped.
Yeah.
Smart. How did they actually win against established premium brands then? What was their differentiation?
Their how to win was built on scientific efficacy. They invested massively in serious dermatological R&D to create products with proven anti-aging results. This was wrapped in sophisticated branding, elegant packaging, and marketing that connected emotionally, focusing on visible results. To pull this off, they had to build totally new core capabilities for the Olay brand. Things like advanced skin science R&D, high-end brand design, and effective in-store merchandising for those mass channels. These weren't things Olay was known for before. And finally, the management systems were aligned. Metrics shifted to focus on growth and profit in this new premium space, and they used agile, cross-functional teams to drive innovation faster.
And the outcome was phenomenal, turning Olay into, $2.5 billion brand. It really shows you don't always have to choose between being affordable or premium if the strategy is smart. What do you think was the biggest internal challenge in making that Olay transformation happen? Pulling that off must have ruffled some feathers.
Oh, absolutely. Probably the biggest hurdle was just overcoming the internal inertia, that's not who we are thinking. Olay was profitable, even at declining. Persuading the organization to potentially cannibalize existing sales and invest huge sums in a risky premium strategy took real leadership courage. It meant challenging deeply ingrained assumptions about the brand and the market. Like the book says, they didn't just tweak Olay, they transformed it. That required a fundamental mindset shift inside P&G.
A great lesson in strategic boldness.
Yeah.
Okay, so this framework clearly works wonders for massive corporations like P&G. But what are the rest of us? What does this mean for you, the listener? Is this 5-question framework only relevant if you're a CEO?
Not at all. And that's one of the most powerful messages in the book, especially in Chapter 10, Strategic Thinking for the Rest of Us. They really democratize the whole idea of strategy. They argue this framework isn't some secret code for executives. It's a practical, repeatable process for absolutely anyone who makes choices. Team leaders, entrepreneurs, small business owners, even individual professionals thinking about their career paths. As they put it, strategy is not reserved for the privileged few. It is a tool for anyone who makes choices. Their point is, if you're making choices with consequences, you are doing strategy. The only question is whether you're doing it consciously and effectively.
That's a really empowering perspective. It takes strategy out of the boardroom and puts it into everyday decision-making. Let's think of some practical examples. Maybe a marketing manager who looks at her limited budget and decides, okay, we're going all in on digital acquisition this year. No trade shows, no print.
Yeah.
That's a clear where to play and how to win choice for her team's resources, right?
Exactly. Or think about, say, a software developer. She sees where the industry is heading and decides to specialize deeply in machine learning, really focus on becoming an expert there, instead of trying to know a little bit about everything. That's a personal how-to-win strategy for her career. She's choosing her competitive advantage in the talent market.
Or maybe a small local nonprofit. Instead of trying to tackle homelessness, education, and healthcare all at once with, 10 volunteers, They decide to focus only on providing after-school tutoring for elementary kids in one specific neighborhood. That's a focused where-to-play choice that lets them actually make a real difference with their limited resources.
Perfect examples. In every case, the underlying principle is the same. If you're making choices, you're doing strategy. The key is doing it well, making those choices coherently, ensuring they align, and focusing your efforts. It's about impact, no matter the scale. So, wrapping up our deep dive today, the big takeaway from Playing to Win isn't about complexity or jargon. It's that true strategy is about making clear, integrated choices, defining precisely where you're going to compete, how you plan to win there, what you need to be great at, and how your systems will back that up. It's about clarity and deliberate action.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with, something the authors really stress.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a perfect strategy you can just create and then forget about. Strategy is dynamic. There are only better or worse choices, and they constantly need to be tested against reality, adapted, refined. It requires ongoing discipline, real courage to make those tough calls and stick to them, and maybe most importantly, total honesty about what's actually working and what isn't. It's a continuous loop, really.
That's a great point. It's a living process. So we really hope you can take these insights, internalize them, and maybe apply them to your own world. Perhaps the next significant decision you face, whether at work or personally, could benefit from running it through these 5 strategic questions. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Playing to Win, how strategy really works here on BookCast FM, bringing books to life one cast at a time. We hope it's given you some valuable tools for crafting your own winning strategy. If you're keen to explore these ideas further, and we definitely recommend it, please consider buying a copy of Playing to Win. You can find a link right there in the description to support the authors.